Hello. And good time zone. And sorry for the sounds of my chair squeaking. I'm trying to get into position. What is up, gamers? Hi, everyone. Welcome in. And a very happy Monday to you all. I'm sorry we had a slightly late start to stream, but before stream started, about 15 minutes before stream started, in my defense, I made myself a little granola and yogurt snack. And it turns out it took me longer than I thought it was going to eat the granola and yogurt snack. Whereupon, I decided to, delay starting the stream until I finished eating the granola and yogurt snack, because I didn't think you would want to have to listen to the noises of me eating a granola and yogurt snack. I don't think that would have been pleasant. Anyways, hello, welcome in. It was indeed crunchy, though. I will say that is very true. Anyways, hello to Turn Up, welcome in, hello. Hope that this place is a soft space for the poppins to land. Joe, thank you very much for the lurk. Doing research, Toad hype, hell yeah. Thank you so much for the research lurk. Dan has requested that I hydrate. Okay, I'm gonna drink this tea first. This is fire and ice, so it's like a blend of ginger and mint and a base of pu'er tea. And chili. It's one of those teas that, like, nominally I know it's very healthy. Like, it's good for when you're feeling sick, that kind of thing. So, like, I like the way it tastes, but also I'm very aware of the fact that it tastes good in the context of its good company. Oh my goodness, Leaky!
Oh hell yeah, Leaky just subscribed. A crunchy granola and yogurt snack of a resubscription.
Why, thank you very much indeed for the resub, Leaky. 14 months! That is coming up on a year. I'm very impressed. Thank you so much indeed. And I hope you enjoy your crunchy granola snack as well. And also, if I have not said hi, Leaky. Hi, Leaky. Dan says, I'm curious how Sammy will make the toad keep still so she can paint it. Thankfully, Craig is, he's very polite, as you can see. I think he has the vibe of a very polite boy. He's a very polite boy. Focus. Thank you. Leaky is here for doing tiredness. Oh, that's a mood. If it makes you feel any better, I also am doing tiredness. And Joe, thank you very much for the 40 stream steak. That is so many steaks. That's practically a lifetime supply of steaks, as far as I'm concerned. My goodness. I hope you enjoy your 40 steaks. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Moriax, thank you very much for the lurk, indeed. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely lurk. And, hello to everyone else who is hanging out. Whether you're chatting, or lurking, or you've got a tab open of my stream, and you're not watching or listening, or indeed in the room, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Polite and quiet and seething at the state of things, says Leaky. Quietly. Yes, absolutely. Very, very quiet seething. But can you blame him, really, given the state? Thank you so much for the lurk, Dyer. I hope you have a lovely lurk as well. Thank you. And hello and welcome to everyone. Woof! What a weekend it was. What a weekend. And when I say what a weekend, it was an extremely nondescript and not particularly interesting weekend. Though that being said, I had some orders to post this weekend. I have a shop, by the way, in case you're not aware. Just going to pop a link to that in the chat. Yeah, I was sending out some orders this weekend, and as soon as I was like, okay, I'm between tasks, I've got 10 minutes now, I'm going to get stamps on these things, and I'm going to get them out into the post box, which is, like, there and back from my house. I got maybe, like, 10 minutes of a walk to the nearest post box, if I had to guess. Absolutely bloody tipping it down and pitch black. Yay! So I had to wait for that to pass. I don't like going out for walks when it's dark out on my own, especially if I'm just, like, effectively in my pajamas with my coat on top. I don't like it. I don't have my post yet, and I am sad. I apologize on behalf of the postage service. You should hopefully have some very special posts soon, and if you don't, I can follow up, but I keep my fingities crossed that it gets there in the next couple of days. But anyways, so if it goes, I had a tracked item that just did not materialize today. I got, like, a text from Royal Mail saying that your item was going to be delivered today between these hours, and so I was like, okay, I can't go out to do any outside errands during this time period because I'm waiting for my post. And also, I don't want to do, like, I don't want to be, I can't shower during that period because what if the postie shows up? I can't do anything noisy in the kitchen to, like, cook because what if the postie shows up? Can't wash my hair. I don't even really want to go to, like, do a wee, just in case the doorbell rings whilst I am, whilst I am weeing. And then it was about 10 minutes to the end of that supposed delivery window, and wouldn't you know it, I went to look at the tracking again, and it said that my item was in transit. We normally expect to deliver to your area between these hours, but the last scan was Swindon, and if you don't know where Swindon is, it's in a different county to where I live, and it's nowhere near my local delivery office. So what the nuts is it doing in Swindon if it's supposed to be delivered today? Now, I'm not annoyed by the fact that, like, it wasn't delivered on this one specific day. That's like, whatever, I don't care. But it's the fact that I got, like, a notification to say that it was being delivered today. The tracking seems to indicate that it thinks it's being delivered today, and yet it also very clearly states that it's not even passed through my local delivery office. So obviously, it's not going to be on the van. I wasted so much of my day, like, not cooking food, holding my pee, not being able to do the outdoor things I had to do today. In addition, I do think sometimes that my local delivery service doesn't actually deliver every day. I think they, like, save it up and then deliver, like, several days worth of post all at once. So, yeah. Anyways, here we are. So yeah, that's an update, I guess. I had something delivered to one of those outside locker things for the first time, said Leaky. It was somehow more exciting. Did you see the photo that somebody posted that it was in German, but it translates to the Forbidden Advent calendar, and it was a photo of one of those, like, delivery lockers, and you can just see in the foreground of the photo the person is holding a crowbar? Don't you do it! No. It was so funny, though. But that's awesome. I've never used one of those. That's really cool. Delivery windows suck, especially when it's a whole day and I wait and it doesn't arrive, says Joe. Exactly. And it's so hard to, like, start a task when you know that something is the doorbell's gonna ring at any time. Anyways, that might be my ADHD, though. Can't be too loud in the kitchen. For postmen are famously we timorous beasties, says Moriax. Oh, my friend. The kitchen is on the other side of the house to my front door. So if the doorbell goes and, like, the kettle is boiling or the microwave's on or the sink is running, I will not hear that no matter how ear-shatteringly loud it is anywhere else in the house. Anyways, we're stuck on one of those roundabouts in Swindon. Swindon is a scary place, to be fair. Samui Tokoro, hello. Welcome in. Did you guys already figure out the difference between frogs and toads? We haven't even got there yet. But we will. We will be investigating this later on in the stream. Yeah, you can wait for that. Anyways, hello and welcome. I hope you are well. Joe says, I requested a redelivery in case I put it somewhere unsensible. I dislike Royal Mail immensely. I don't dislike Royal Mail. I just feel like they are pretty darn under-resourced for the volume of stuff that they're asked to do, and it causes problems. I do not blame the people doing these jobs because I think that for the most part they are very dedicated to wanting to do it well. But there are systemic issues that I think really need to be addressed. And are not being, even as every single time I have to send an international piece of post, the postage has gone up and I have to buy another little 10-piece stamp to append to the thing because the stamps that I already had aren't enough anymore. I've had to do that twice. No, maybe even 3 times. I bought, like, a bunch of sheets of £2.50 stamps because the international postage was £2.50 for ages. And then it just, like, bumped up to £3, and I'm like, well, guess I need to buy a bunch of 50p stamps. And then it went up to 320. And then I'm so glad that the last time I checked, before my last shop update, I checked to see whether or not the postage was still the same, because it had gone up again. Now it's 340. So I had to buy another sheet of 20p stamps to put on the end. So I'm sorry for anyone internationally who orders anything from me, gets like a cool stamp of a Dungeons and Dragons creature, and then just a whole bunch of the monarch's head. But yeah, delivery is stuck negotiating the Swindon Magic Roundabout. I don't envy them. Swindon scares me. Joe says I'm generally less than 4 meters away from my door. And delivery drivers are still shitty. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I use this sometimes just for fun, says Dan. Sammy's little appendages. Okay. Anywho, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the reasons that I dislike Swindon, my apparent prejudice against Swindon is actually entirely related to the fact that the only times I've ever been to Swindon, in big quotes, because I've only ever gone through the railway station, because it is one of the stops on the railway line that goes between, like, I think London and Bristol, and then on to Cardiff. Maybe points beyond, I'm not sure. Anyways, but on a semi-regularly, maybe like once yearly basis, my moderator / spouse and I like to take a little day trip to, like, to Bath or Bristol, because it's not super far away from us. It's not a long train journey. It's not an expensive train journey. But every single time there's been some kind of disaster on that train journey, it's always resulted in us having to get off at Swindon. And that has always been a horrible experience. The one time this isn't Swindon's fault, but it just so happens that I got really sick. Like, the second we stepped off the train, I was just like, ugh. I feel incredibly sick. And I had a nice day in Bristol, but I didn't have a great day in Bristol, because I spent the entire time shaky and feeling like I was going to be sick. The other time, we were coming back of what was supposed to be a nice, pleasant afternoon. And our train got stuck just outside of Swindon for like 30 minutes. And then once we got to Swindon, they announced, we sat there for another like 10 minutes, and then they announced that this train is going out of service because it was so, like, delayed that they were just putting it out of service, and that we would have to get on another different train out of Swindon that was already, like, jammed full of people. Like, it already had an entire train's worth of people, and then they asked another entire train's worth of people to get onto this other train. So that was super fun. And then a third train rocked up, also going out of service. There were 3 trains worth of people on one train. And I have been rammed into the vestibule of many a cross-country service, because, oh boy, I've got complaints. But, never quite as rammed as this. It was the stuff of nightmares. Oh, and this was the time, oh yes, we were coming back. This was actually when we were coming back from Wales. And it had been so cold and so damp in Wales that I got a terrible cold. And I spent the entire journey back with a terrible cold. Not, like, again, shaky, throwing up, not throwing up, but feeling generally quite nauseous, and just wishing I could sit down, because I felt so ill. It was deeply unpleasant. Anyways, Leaky says, fact, there are government offices in Swindon. They have a dedicated exit from the station. Oh, must be nice. I don't envy them having to be in Swindon, though. Dan says, Tiki Sammy getting rammed in the vestibule with Sledge there. As a matter of fact, Dan, it was our 10-year anniversary. That was the way back from our 10-year wedding anniversary special romantic trip. I mean, no comment. Anyways, I'm gonna take a sip of my mint tea. Anyway, so that was that. Frogs versus toads. I think there's less of a difference than I think I thought that there was. I do think that there is less of a difference than I thought that there was. In as much as I think that I don't think they're actually, like, scientifically, I don't think they're two separate classes per se. I think they're closer friends than that, like, scientific classificationally. But I'm looking it up because it's gonna bother me if I don't. I don't want to misinform you. Anyways. Leaky sits to Dan, are you channeling comedy films from the 1960s? Apparently. Hello, Ernesto. Welcome in, and happy Monday to you too. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about toads, because of Craig here. In the case of frogs versus toads, as Craig versus Terry the Forg Mage, I think part of the difference is just a matter of, I don't know, self-confidence. Being a little bit more assured that you are cool, and other people think you're cool, and I think that Craig needs to work on that a little bit. But I think the biggest difference that I can draw from I've come over a bit, John Inman. Did you at least buy him a drink first? This is an adult stream for grown-ups, by the way. Anyways, oh my god, that's a spicy tea! Oh, that's a spicy meatball! Well, hey, it's infectious, says Dan. Can't help it. A mature stream for immature people, says Leaky. Yes, exactly. Exactly, yes. Oh god, that reminds me of the time that I mentioned the fact that this was an adult stream for grown-ups and that this is a grown-up space, and that don't talk about your ages because we don't want minors to out themselves, but also you should not be here if you're not a grown-up, and if you tell me you're not a grown-up, you will get banned. And literally within that conversation,
Twitch user Sammy Kelsch.
Choppers.
Never mind. Hello, Elif, welcome in. Welcome, and thank you so much for the raid. Hello. It's lovely to see you. And welcome. I hope you are having the loveliest of lovely days. How was your stream? What did you get up to today? Did you do some cool, fun art? Did you do something fun? I hope so. Hello. And welcome in. How are you doing? Hello to Struble. Hello, KD2216 as well. And hello to Ela. Let me get a shout out for you in the chat. Would help if I could type while speaking, would be amazing, but I'm super bad at it. Anyways, but hello, welcome in. How was your stream? What did you get up to today? As always, we are an art tax optional stream, so if there's anything like what you were working on or something that you're really proud of that you would like to share with us, you are very welcome to drop a link into my Withbirth, and I'd be very, very happy to share it with the class from there. But also, if you just want to raid and run because you've got other things to do, or you just need to lie down and take a nap, we are very cool with that as well. It's all good. Elif, that sounds so cool. Started a cross stitch pattern of your own piece. That's amazing. I love that. Kakalakola, hello, welcome in as well. It's lovely to see you. Hello. Welcome. Dan says, type while speaking. That's a superpower you only get if you're bitten by a typewriter. A radioactive typewriter, no less. I absolutely 100% agree. Anyways, for anyone who's new here, first of all, this is Craig. Craig is a toad wizard. I can't get him to come focus. Thank you. This is Craig. He's a toad wizard. He's the artwork that we're working on today. He is a friend friend of the channel, Terry the Forg Mage, who is this beautiful froggy fellow. This is an idea for an emote that I'm not sure if I need to refine, because getting things to look good when they're super tiny is a skill. But this is Craig. This is his little wizard's cottage, and we're painting his little world. If you're not familiar with my work, I am a traditional artist working primarily in watercolors and similar media, sometimes other things, and I also do cozy game streams on Friday mornings. We are currently playing through Silksong extremely slowly because I I only have 3 hours of a week to game stream, and I'm also pretty bad at video games. But you know what? I'm having an amazing time, so who cares? Anyways, Cackle says, Pork Mage! Yeah, it's my boy. That's my boy, Terry. Terry is a very, very special boy. He has made many appearances here on the stream. Dan says, if you're not familiar with Sammy's work, all the characters you see are dating. Oh, that is a point. That is a point. I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm gonna hop on over to my Instagram for just a second to tell you in no uncertain terms that you know this coffee pot and this teapot that I painted a little while back, they're dating. So, like, that's a thing. Anyways, my moderator / spouse has just come home, so I'm going to go quickly say hello to him. I'll be back in just a second, chat. And thank you again. Click, click, click. What? What? Oh, I missed you so much. How's your day? Okay.
Easy.
Did it at least go by quickly? And did the power get sorted relatively soon?
Yeah, it took about 20 minutes.
Ah, beans.
I'm going to have another 15-20 minutes for that Wi-Fi and everything back on.
Well,
Or like, but whatever.
yeah, so it goes. At least it did get sorted.
It was very much an SCP, so. Because it was basically a state that kind of
I see.
reset everything.
Okie dokie. Well, I'm glad you're home. You looking forward to soup?
Yes.
Good boy. I'm gonna get back to my business. Okay. Love you. Hi. Sorry about that. Hello, hello. Oh, we have hellos in the chat for you, sweetie.
From who?
Joe says hi, Dave.
Hey, Joe.
He says hey, Joe. Anyways, hello. Hi, welcome in. All the characters you see are dating, even the subway tracks, says Coca-Cola. I can find a way. I can find a way to have, like, some sort of... I could definitely find a way to have some metro romance. But... Anyways, let me get another shout out for Elove in the chat. Because I can. And I think I've got a whisper from them as well. Oh, hell yeah. Let's take a look at what Elove's been working on. It looks to be some cross-stitch action, which I'm very excited to see. So, and I'm very happy to share that. Ooh, that is so cute. That is so cute. The absolute... Isn't that what metrosexual means? Yes, 100%. That is so cute. I cannot wait to see how this looks when it's all done. Check it out. That is absolutely adorable. I love the skill that goes into figuring out how to draft a cross-stitch pattern. I mean, I don't even know how to cross-stitch, period, but, like, that is completely beyond me. It's wizardry, and I am extremely impressed. And I'm also very excited to see how this works out, because that is a very, very stinking cute. If you like the cute, you should go check out Elove. Let me get you another... used a website to convert... Ooh! Website wizardry. Anyways, if you're not following Elove, you should go do that. If you like joy, if you like having joy in your heart, I wholeheartedly recommend them. You alright, babe? My moderator / spouse is changing into his home shirt. I got him a very, what I think is a very handsome flannel checked shirt for Christmas, and I'm so glad that it fits nice and comfy, and it looks really cozy, and it's super soft, and he's been wearing it a lot. And you know when you get someone something as a gift, and they find it really useful, and they use it a lot, and it just makes you feel all like, because someone's life is better because you did a thing. That feels so good. I have 2 cups of tea, but thank you, sweetheart. Says, oh, I think I'm low-key blushing now. Hell yeah. I mean it. Anyways, as for me, this is Craig. So for those who aren't familiar with my oeuvre, and why would you be? That's fair enough. If you're new here, or if you've been here for a while and you maybe don't remember, I don't know. It's fine. But I have a long-running friend of the channel, who is the subject of quite a bit of lore at this point, and adventures. He's a little guy. He's a real sweet pea. I'm killing some time trying to find a representative artwork, of which there are many, but I think this is a good one as an example. His name is Terry, and he is a Forg mage, and he looks a little like this. So he's a little froggy fellow, and he likes to go on little adventures. He likes he likes having nice cups of tea with his friends. He likes reading a good magic book. He's got sort of a nice little magic reading nook here where he's enjoying, I'm sure, a very improving volume, along with a nice cup of tea. He's just a really chill guy. He's generally pretty unfazed and generally pretty peaceful, pretty happy little dude. And he's a little Froggo magic user, and I love him very much, and I love his world. And at some point fairly recently, I made the acquaintance of a little toad with a wizard hat on, and I was like, oh damn, this needs to be Terry's friend. And his name is Craig, and he is a toad wizard. So I am teasing out the lore about this guy and how his story relates to Terry's story and their friendnesses and all that jazz. But yes. Q2 says hello, welcome in. Q2 says PSA, Sammy's a talented artist. Hey! Lovely person. Hey! And certified cutie patootie. No, you are! Who sparks a joy. Well, thank you. I'm very glad. And so is moderator / host. Now that I agree with. He is moderator / host. Susan is wonderful. I love you. You're wonderful. Anyways, he's in the kitchen, so he's like half hearing me. Removing his outer clothes and putting on his home shirt, smoking jacket, and silk hat, says Moriax. Oh, that's adorable. Craig, not to be confused with Krieg or Krog. Are there other toad occupations like battle toads? Oh, I'm sure there are toads with other jobs. I think a toad barbarian would be very cute. Now I'm just thinking of D&D classes. Toad ranger? Maybe... I don't know. There was... I can't remember who it was, but like 2 streams ago, someone spelled Craig as Krieg, like Criag, and we determined that Krieg is also a little guy who is a gecko warlock. Was Krieg? Krieg is a gecko warlock from Scotland. Anywho, toad policeman, says Stan. Oh gosh, with the little hat. With the little hat. I wonder what they sell on Craigslist. Oh my god, yes. Moriax says, redeemed a terrible drawing time. Ah, geez. For my TDT and in celebration of me reading a bunch of X-Men recently, can I get Sammy to draw that Canadian icon Wolverine? Yes, I can certainly attempt. And Krog exists in the mirror direct dimension, says Stan. Yes, 100%. Okay, we've got a terrible drawing to do. I think I might also have... I do also have another picture from Elif, which I will very happily show off. This is the full cross stitch pattern that we looked at earlier. Oh my god. Oh my god. I lost the ability to speak for a second there because I was having cuteness aggression, but in like the gentlest possible way. That is so stinking cute. I cannot wait to see what this looks like when it's all stitched up. That is absolutely adorable. Thank you so much for sharing. Again, follow Elif. Elif does good stuff. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, we are going to terrible drawing time. What was the... This is the terrible drawing time we did last, which was, this is Craig the Toad Wizard, and he's he's seeing Terry the Forg Mage is just effortlessly doing a cartwheel, and he's kind of feeling a little bit like, I could do that. But probably not. Elove is lurking for lunch. Have a lovely, lovely lurk and a lovely lunch as well. And thank you very much indeed. Marnax says, I was going to ask you to draw your favorite X-Man, but I think I already asked you to do that one. You drew a very sweet Gambit. I think I have drawn Gambit, yes. I think you're right, but I'm very happy to do Wolverine as well. Aw, jeez. For anyone who isn't familiar with the concept that I'm pursuing here, terrible drawing time is a phenomenon that happens on this stream because I have no sense of self-preservation, wherein for 5,000 channel points, I have 5 minutes or less to draw a character or concept of your choosing from memory or sight unseen on the terrible drawing canvas. This is the latest one. This was the last one. Things got interesting. I believe this was a silly goose. And we also have... Oh, this was the drummer from a metal band I'd never heard of, and for some reason he's selling jam at a car boot sale. I still don't know what that man actually looks like. This is me and my moderator / spouse if he had no beard. I have never seen the bottom half of his face naked. I've only ever seen him with some manner of a beard. So this was very confusing for me to draw, but I still think he looks very handsome no matter what. Please do Wolverine, but he's in Professor X's wheelchair. Professor X is pushing him super fast down a hill. That was Trivium. The band Trivium. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. I was like, it's something that's like a word, but I can't remember what it was. Thank you very much. OMG Goose says Struble. I'm glad you approve. Anyways, so what do we have? Yes, I need to do Canadian icon Wolverine. Well, I will try and make him as Canadian as possible, I think, because of the way that request was worded. I make no guarantees as to the qualities of these requests, and I accept no responsibility for any psychic damage that incurs as a result of you making a terrible drawing request. I will try my best, but it may not end up looking, and depending on my memory is bad. So I may or may not remember what Wolverine looks like. Let's find out. We've got 5 minutes on the clock starting now. Oh no. Oh no. Anyways, yeah, I completely forgot to look up that band when that user came in to tell us about the fact that band had a new drummer. I think that's just how they relate to people, is to like share like interesting things they just learned, and I'm here for it. If you've got interesting facts to share with me or interesting news, I want to hear about it. That is a nice way to relate to people. Anyways, Kakalakola says, if it helps, Wolverine looks like a huge jacked man. I mean, I could attempt to draw what an actual Wolverine looks like, which is nothing like the X-Men character Wolverine. But I think I'm going to attempt to draw what in my mind like the character Wolverine looks like. He's got like these. I don't really know what the deal is with these, but he's got like these like wings on either side of his head that are very distinctively shaped. And then can you see, I think the bottom half of the mask is just like his face. Maybe there's a bit of sort of like this coming down like that, and then he's got his little nose, and then he's got a bit of a gruff persona, though I'm pretty sure at some point in the comics he does end up in a throuple with Cyclops and Jean Grey, I want to say her name is. And you know what? Good for him. So are you going to see Trivium on tour in Swindon next month? Oh, nothing could drag me to Swindon, Dan. I've had too many terrible experiences in Swindon. Logan is canonically 5'3" apparently, so he's Sammy-sized if I remember correctly. He's actually 3 inches taller than me, which is wild. Jean Grey, Dorian's lass. Yes, absolutely. That's definitely how I remember that story going. The picture of Jean Grey. Anyways, he's quite he's quite strong. So let me give him some big boy muscles. And he's got his, like, claws and stuff. There we go. But you know what? He's also Canadian, and I'm pretty sure it's quite cold in Canada right now. So I'm gonna give him some little... He's wearing, like, mittens. He's got little, like, holes in the mittens for the claws to peek out of, I think. And I'm gonna give him a nice cozy jumper. Actually, you know, despite the fact that he's got his claws out and stuff, he is also holding... This is very important. He's holding a box of Timbits. Just so you know. Just so you know. And there's some little illustrated Timbits around on the box.
Attention,
Twitch user Sammy Kelsch.
shoppers.
Jam, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. I'm attempting to draw the X-Man Wolverine from memory right now. Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jam, how was your stream? How was your stream? How was the, what's the, Rain World? I don't know why the name got away from me, but how was the Rain World, drawings and stuff? How did that end up going? I hope it was a good, from memory challenge. Yeah, it's certainly challenging. Okay, now he's like my height, so it's really important that we establish that. Also, he's going to be wearing, the jumper is quite V-neck because we need to know that he's an extremely hairy man. But other than that, I'm just going to give it some nice Fair Isle style details because I think that looks cute. And I think that's very, very nice little details for a jumper to have. Okay, yeah, I think this is appropriately Wolverine-ish. Let me give him some little boots. And his boot buckles are going to have a little X on them, so you know he's one of the X-Men. Because that's definitely part of the uniform. And pencils down, I think that'll do. I'm going to say hello to everyone who just came in on the raid. Hello, hello, and welcome to Jam, of course. Thank you again so much for the raid. That's my timer. Tals, welcome in. Hello, hello, Maggie. Hello, and Kirsty and Jam, of course. Silly Cat, welcome in. Tals, hello, hello, hello. Cackalicola says, admittedly, there's an oldest video by Corridor Crew. They edited Danny DeVito to be Wolverine. Oh my god, I love it. Perfect casting. It was good, says Jam. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. As always, we are an art text optional stream, but if there's anything you would like to share with the class, I would be very, very, very happy to do so. Do let me know. And you can whisper a link in my direction if you'd like to as well. But as always, also, we are a tax haven, so if you just want to raid and run and go get a snack or take a nap or do whatever you got to do, that is also fine. It's all good. If you're not following James B. Barrow and you like good art and good times and interesting conversation and also bees, you can go do that right there, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. For anyone who's new here, hello. First of all, this is Wolverine. This is an attempt at Wolverine. I made sure that you know that he's Canadian because I gave him a big box of Timbits. I felt like that was important, and I gave him a jumper because it's cold in Canada right now. And I feel like this looks exactly like Wolverine. I'm going to pull up a picture of him so we can do a little side-by-side compare. And I hope that I did him justice. But whom's to knows? Alright. I feel bad for the Wolverine the animal, because literally the first thing that comes up when you Google search Wolverine is Wolverine comic book character, and not Wolverine the actual animal that he's named after, which we will also look at, because what the hey. Anyways. No. Oh, no, this website wants me to accept cookies. Ugh, I have to, I guess. There we go. Okay. Alright. He looks like Winnie the Pooh dressing as Wolverine for Halloween. Oh my god, Dan, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. That is heckin' adorable. And I love it. But yeah, if anyone's not familiar with my work, it doesn't usually look quite this bad. We're actually painting a toad wizard at the moment named Craig. Here he is. Here's Craig the toad wizard. Hanging out in his wizard's castle, and maybe we'll get it done today, but I doubt it. Thank you! Thank you!
Oh hell yeah, Tiles underscore are now just subscribed. Happy New Year, unless I've said that already and forgot.
Thank you so much for subbing for 5 months. I appreciate it so very, very much. That is incredibly kind of you. And I can't get over the fact that that TTS Nicole, our resident message reading wombat, always reads out the underscore, which I think is an interesting choice. But, you know, hey, like, she's trying her best. Anyways, okay, so, for comparison, here is my attempt at Wolverine as requested. And here is... Ah, shoot, I had it on the wrong tab. Hold, please. Okay, I mean, this is a Wolverine, but this is the comic book character Wolverine, who looks a lot taller here than I've drawn him, but I feel like I'm correct. Like, I feel like actually I'm right here. Anyways, there's Wolverine again, and again, here's comic book Wolverine. I feel like, I don't know, I think the spirit's there. I hope so. Anyways, I hope you're happy. We need Samantha Junderscore now. Oh, jeez. I wonder if she's still... She sometimes pops in, like, right as we're about to raid out, and is like, yay, I got here just in time. So we may see her later. Who knows? Wolverines are short, says Tells. Apparently so. Apparently so. Yes, there's a friend of the channel whose name is Samantha J underscore 42, and the message reads it out as Samantha Junderscore, which is wonderful, and of course is canonically her surname now. Anywho, I'm gonna take a sip of my tea, y'all. I'm gonna get another shout out for Mr. James B. Barrow in the chat. Because again, we would like to thank Jam for the raid, and we would also like, if you are not following the illustrious James B. Barrow, please go do that. Jam is an incredibly skilled artist and an incredibly cool and interesting person as well. I had stream on in the background for a little bit this afternoon whilst I was getting some work done, and there was some chatter about Warhammer, which was very fun as well. So yeah, nice place to hang. Got a dash. I've got a meeting this evening to prepare for. I hope the art continues great. Thank you so much, Jam, and thank you for the lurk, and thank you again for the raid. I do appreciate it. Have a lovely lurk, and I hope that the rest of your day goes well. Anywho, I might actually start painting. Is that too wild and crazy? Is that too controversial to actually do on a stream? To actually paint on an art stream? I don't know. Anyways, I did... Oh, okay. So I had pulled up a website. This is from the Woodland Trust, the British Woodland Trust, which is how to tell the difference visually between a frog and a toad. And I don't know how I feel about this. They describe now it is factually correct, I think, in general. Frogs have like a smooth skin, whereas toads have like little bumps. But let me just read out to you what the Woodland Trust have said about toads here. Toads are quite squat and dumpy, with a much broader nose than the frog. I don't think that's a nice descriptor, personally. I don't think that squat and dumpy is a nice way to describe a lovely creature. Do you? Do you? I think they could say toads are quite, you know, like... Toads are wee and friend-shaped. How about that? How about that, Woodland Trust? No, you just have to go for... You know, like, you probably wouldn't be inaccurate to describe me as being a bit squat and dumpy, but I think you'd kind of be, like, frankly, pardon my French, an asshole if you did. That's not a nice thing to say. Oh my goodness. I feel absolutely terrible for toads now. Toads are adorable. What the heck? Anyways, Kakalakola says, paint on an art stream? Surely you can't be serious. I cannot be serious. Most definitely not, no. Squat and dumpy, attorneys at law, says Dan. I would trust them with my legal needs. I definitely would. Rex, hello. I don't think I've said hi to you. Hi, Rex. Who's the more avid reader between frogs and toads? Oh, man. I don't know. Do you think frogs and toads read the Frog and Toad books by Arnold Lobel? Do you think they're like, yes, this accurately represents us? Also, it is appropriately gay. Timer is at 55 minutes. You can't paint for another 5 at least, says Dan. Ah, shoot. Petite, not squat, says Katie. I like that. I like that way better. I vastly prefer it. Thank you. So yeah, we were looking at the difference between frogs and toads because, of course, my flagship little guy, my if I had to be described as having OCs, one of my most well-known OCs is Terry the Forg Mage here, and I've decided that there is also a toad wizard named Craig, and so I'm drawing his portrait. Oh no, Cacalicolis makes me think of an old ad for a company called, I'm assuming it's Dumas and Dumas, and not Dumbass and Dumbass, but oh boy, when you're pronouncing it like an English speaker, it sure looks like it says Dumbass and Dumbass. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, beans. But yeah, anyways, oh jeez. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. I do feel for anyone who has, what's the difference between a wizard and a mage, says Stan? Functionally, I mean, if we're going by D&D rules, certainly the wizard is a scholar of magic. This, I don't know, maybe he's got like the toad equivalent of like a doctorate in magical studies. But I think I tend to think of Terry's magic use as probably somewhere between like some kind of mash of like wizard and druid, I guess. If I had to give it like a more concrete description, but I would not describe Terry as like a druid per se. So it's somewhere between a wizard, but it definitely draws on like nature a lot. But also he also loves reading, as you know. He has a very comprehensive library because I have had to paint so many ding dang books on that boy's shelves. Bees! Hello, welcome, and welcome, Curse Jar Bees. I hope you have a very happy Monday as well. Hello, I hope you're well. Cacalicola says the joke being someone in an interview is talking about how much he's looking forward to working at Dumbass and Dumbass. Oh no! Oh no, that's so embarrassing. I love it. Oh jeez. Anywho, but yeah, I feel like I've been, I don't know, not slacking exactly, but the lore has been fairly minimal for sort of Terry and his magical world. But if I do think about it, I would say that his magic is definitely a bit more, he is learned, but it is also definitely quite nature-based, I think. Whereas I think Craig's magic is a little bit more like scholarly, if that makes sense. Terry's probably spent more time actually like traveling about and adventuring, whereas Craig has spent more time like researching, you know, in like a, I don't know. I was gonna say like a lab setting, but he's not a physicist, but you know, he's probably done like potion experiments and stuff. Maybe one day I can draw Craig's potion lab. That would be fun. Have him in little safety goggles and a little lab coat. Just figuring out which roots make things, you know, explode or whatever. That would be very fun. Okay, the difference between a wizard and a mage is one's really good at pinball and one likes to play Magic the Gathering. Thank you, Cacalicola. That makes sense as well. Thank you. Speaking of, if you've never heard Roger Ruskinspear's cover of Pinball Wizard, this is so out of pocket and so niche. I'm sorry. I had some weird musical interests in my teens. It's deeply weird. If you're familiar with the Bonzo Dog Band, Roger Ruskinspear was a member of the Bonzo Dog Band, and he was known for building robots that played instruments. I think he made I think he made a theremin. I think it was Roger Ruskinspear that made a theremin out of like a mannequin's leg. Weird stuff. Anyways, he's a pinball mage. There has to be a twist, says Stan. Oh my goodness. Anyways, we are. It looks like we've passed the hour mark, and I haven't put any paint down. So just, I'm gonna do like one color before the ads run. just so I feel like I've been a little productive. But honestly, like talking with you all and hanging out with you all is like my favorite kind of productivity. Y'all are fun. And this is a good time. I am just mixing up a little color to make some little... He's just got a little bowl of feathers here, I decided, because I thought it would be... It's nice to have... I feel like feathers are useful when... Probably a lot of, like, quill pen making and that kind of thing. So those are some feathers that he's got in a little basket. As long as he's not a pinball wizard, says Rex, because the Who owns that. Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to get infringed. We don't want to get ceased and desisted. I don't think Craig has ever played pinball. I think when Craig decided that he was going to become a wizard, he got a lot of like well-meaning friends all being like, "Oh ho ho, does that mean that you're going to be playing pinball?" And he's like, "No." And so he's resolutely determined to never play pinball just because that was annoying to him. I think that's something that definitely happened. But anyways, yes. Frogs smooth, toads bumpy. I don't appreciate the description of them as squat and dumpy. I don't think that's a nice thing to say. I would say that they are petite and huggably round, let's say, as opposed to the more athletic looking frog. There you go. Oh boy, this is the second time I've been on a website just trying to look up facts about frogs and toads, and I get surprised by a picture of some toads making love, which I did. This is an adult stream for grown-ups, but I'm not showing that because TOS. Anyways, it's time for a break. Frogs moist, toads unhydrated. I wanna paint this guy drinking a Lucozade Sport just to make up for it. Anyways, we're about to run into an ad, and I don't want y'all to miss anything, so I'm gonna stick on the BRB screen. But before I go, I don't suppose Craig's secretly a master of Dance Dance Revolution. He could be. He could be Kakalakola. We don't know. Dan says frogs smooth, toads dumpy, also described as squat and dumpy, which I just think is so mean. They're beautiful. Anyways, I'll be back very shortly. You're not going to miss anything. BRB, everybody. Hopefully, we're back. Hi. Thank you so much for sticking around. We're back. And I have some revelations to share with you. Specifically, this is the quote I was looking for. Him. This comes from Wikipedia, who I'm sure would never lead me astray. Him. They say, "Now we know that a frog is any member of a diverse and largely semi-aquatic group of short-bodied, tailless amphibian vertebrates. Revolutions!" Says the towels. Heck! I think if I were to spin around in circles, I would be very nauseous. Anyways, but here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. This is the kicker. Scientifically speaking, frog species with rough skin texture due to wart-like parotoid glands tend to be called toads. But the distinction between frogs and toads is informal and purely cosmetic and does not reflect taxonomy or evolutionary history. These categories are all human-made, and it doesn't matter. These two little creatures are more alike than they may think. And I think that they should hopefully become the very best friends. It's vibes-based, says Tals. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's vibes-based. It's entirely based on vibes. That's it. That's all it is. It is, do you have the vibes of a toad? You are a toad. If you have the vibes of a frog, you are a frog. Though I think toads more often than not are poisonous, though some frogs are also poisonous. Generally, I think the best rule of thumb when it comes to all frogs and toads is don't lick them. Not because whether or not they're poisonous, but because I don't think they like that. Anyway, so yeah, frogs and toads scientifically are part of the same, like, group of creatures. There's no like categorical distinction between them, except the things that we tend to name toads are the bumpy ones, and that's kind of it. So there you have it. Nevertheless, since this guy's a toad, I'm gonna call him a toad. Anywho, I just thought that was neat. I thought that was a neat thing to think about, to share, to contemplate and consider, because why not? I need to decide. I think we determined that this gown robe thing that Craig is wearing is going to be blue. So I think I'm actually going to use a slightly larger brush than this, because to try and do, this is a tiny details brush. We need a slightly bigger brush, but I need I need a brush that's a little bit bigger, but not a brush that's so big that I'm going to struggle to get into the nooks and crannies. Or maybe, this does have a fairly fine point. Maybe I can use this one for now. I'll use this one for now. I've talked myself round to taking a bit of a risk in the name of getting a slightly less potentially sort of bitty wash. Here's my palette, as always. It is the lid from a pot of ricotta, which is the best kind of paint palette there is, genuinely. It's my favorite. And this palette of paints, in case you're curious, because I don't think I've actually we're over an hour into stream and I haven't actually mentioned what the deal is with this paint palette. 1-inch brush, says Rex. I don't know. Because as with many of these brushes, the size number is very confusing. This is 10/0. And I bought it years ago from Jackson's Art Supplies. And that's about all I know. I don't actually know what I find like artist paintbrush sizes incredibly confusing, personally. But yes, there was a thread going around Blue Sky the last couple of days that's like art advice, and I was looking at the replies this morning and I was really heartened to see how like good most of the advice was. Because if anyone were to, not that anyone were ever to ask me, but if anyone were ever to ask me for like my advice, and they're not asking about like how to do a specific thing or what are your thoughts on this one specific thing, my response would 100% be, take any art advice that you see, and before you internalize it, like really just sit with it and think about whether or not you actually feel like it applies to you. Don't just take something as like, gospel just because like a person said it in an authoritative way. Like really think about whether or not you feel like this is an applicable and good thing. Because there's a lot of people out there who are very vocal but have really just like terrible advice, or advice that just doesn't necessarily apply to you as a person, as a creator, in the specific sub-medium of art that you're doing. Yes. Anyways. Your Daily Bow says, hey, I'm doing traditional 2D animation right now. Hell yeah, that's super cool. That's not 1 inch, by the way. You have inches marked on your cutting. Oh my god, I always forget, and it's not far off, actually. It's not super far off, but it's definitely less than an inch. It's maybe like 3/4 of an inch, I would say. It's not making a joke. A 1 inch is a 1 inch wide bristle area. That's a big brush. Oh, that'd be a big boy. No, thank you. I am expecting a Princeton Aqua Elite Round 8 today, says Cursed Jar of Bees. Ooh, that sounds like a nice brush. I do like a round brush. I do. She wanted to try a bigger brush, so why not a 1 inch? I don't think I have a 1 inch brush. The inches, the big numbers at the side. Yes. There's also numbers along the top and bottom, which I was looking at because I forget that these are here. I am very intelligent. That also goes to show, you can see how tittle my art canvases are. You can see how incredibly tittle my art canvases are if you couldn't tell based on my hands. You can see the numbies. It's small. Anyways, I don't consider a brush big unless you need 2 hands for it, says Dan. That's fair. I consider a brush big if it's any bigger than this. This is like the biggest I tend to go with my work. Partially because my canvases tend to be A6 or sometimes A7, as is the case with this sketch. This is A7 size. It's tittle teensy. And I do sometimes like doing little A7 pieces. I think it's fun. But yeah. Okie dokie. Oh, I think Craig is going to look very stylish in these robes. I think he looks lovely. I think he should feel very, very fashionable in his fashionable, magical garments, in this very weird shade of blue. Though I would quite like it to be darker, actually, so I might try and get another load of paint up on top of that, because it's still quite light. Let's see if I can, whilst it's still wet, just add to it. Anyways. Oh yeah, so that like nice thread of like genuinely useful art advice. Things like you should have a sketchbook that isn't just for like that you're not using as a mini portfolio. And I've always been a big champion of having an art sketchbook that you're not just using as a mini portfolio, where you put like genuinely rough sketches and practice and things that aren't necessarily for like an Instagram reel consumption, you know what I mean? Because man, sometimes other people's sketchbook flip throughs when they post them online just makes me feel real bad about myself, because a lot of my sketchbook is ugly as hell. But that's because I use it for things like, I don't know how to draw this gesture, so I'm going to do like a really scribbly thumbnail of it, you know what I mean? Or indeed, I don't know how I want this painting to work, so I'm going to do a really scribbly thumbnail of it. I don't understand how this Star Trek character's face works, so I'm going to do a scribbly thumbnail of it. That kind of thing. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's really... I think that's a really useful piece of advice, but like... I also think a lot of advice that's given to artists is not always good, and a lot of people give advice who honestly don't have the expertise to be giving it in the first place, which... Oh no! But it came on the heels of me seeing a post on another social medium where someone was talking about, they started with, you know how when people write poetry, like that the best poetry is stuff written by like 5-year-olds before they like learn how to write poetry, which I don't. There's something charming about like little kids' poetry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's inherently in some objective sense better than like Walt Whitman. It's different. So I already disagree with this artist, but then they were like an artist's work is its best before they discover that like they can probably make more money. What was the example they gave? They can probably make more money making enamel pins of possums with the words "Be gay, do crimes" on it. And it just made me feel a little bit sad. Because a lot of the commentary around it was basically like, oh, you know, I'm so sick of seeing like this thing or like that art or whatever. And it made me sad on a couple of counts. The first count being that like I have an artist acquaintance who does a lot of possum art, and they've been doing possum art for years because they just think that possums are cool. It's you know, like, just because it doesn't seem super original at the moment because possums became like a popular motif, you know, because we who doesn't love weird little guys with little hand paws? Why not? Doesn't mean that it's not from the heart just because you don't think it's like super original. Like, go away. Likewise, I've been drawing amphibian magic users for like, I don't know, probably about 5 years now. And I've seen a lot of frogs and toads in wizard hats come across my my Instagram in the intervening period. Do way bigger numbers than any of mine, by the way. So I'm not saying it's because of me that any of that happened. It just so happens that I was doing that, I think, quote unquote, before it was cool. And my thought has never been, I'm going to do this, like, motif in art because it's cool. And it just, you know, as much as, like, I get what they're saying about how, like, certainly seeing things come onto trend and seeing, especially people stealing art from actual artists and then, like, sticking the low-res JPEGs they got off of Instagram onto, like, merch and then selling it on Etsy or AliExpress or whatever. That is like the lowest level, like the worst depths of hell level crappy. But even just, like, you know, just stealing, like, the design ideas and then just, like, mass producing stuff and sticking it on AliExpress or whatever just feels a little bit, it's not as fun. It's not as fun as buying from, like, a person you know what I mean? But also the people I know who make art that sometimes taps into things that become trendy, sometimes as a result of the things that they made being well liked because they're cool, are not doing this stuff because it's a cash grab. And I think it's really sad that if there's anyone out there who sees, like, oh, a toad wizard, that's just, like, cash grab art. Why don't you make something that you actually care about? It's like, I'm doing this because I love Craig the Toad Wizard. Like, you don't understand. I'm doing this because I love Craig the Toad Wizard. And if you can't tell the difference between that and something that I would have made as a cash grab, then I don't know, maybe I just suck as an artist and you suck as a person. So yeah, it made me a little bit grumpy. Sigh says, Styles, possums are cool. Possums are cool. Possums are super cool. I drew a possum once and then I didn't post it anywhere because I wasn't super happy with the resulting piece. I felt like it could have been cooler than it ended up being, and that's fine. Not everything that I make needs to be... I mean, I guess that's a good piece of advice. Not everything that you make needs to become part of your portfolio. If you're just like, okay, I did this, I experienced it, and it's fine. You know, like, whatever. Kirsty says, sometimes the things you have loved all along become a bit mainstream, but it's okay, you loved it all along. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that probably just means that, you know, at some point, someone who also has good taste recognized that this thing was cool, shared it with other people, and other people agreed. Wow. Like, you know, I understand when things take off and other people, but also I think a lot of artists seeing, say, you know, let's say, like, oh, like, I think cacti was a very popular motif for a while, like succulent plants and that kind of thing. I don't think that necessarily for most other artists comes from a place of I'm going to make art of, like, an interesting looking succulent plant because I want to make lots of money. And part of the reason that I don't think that that's the case is because none of us are making lots of money. There is a small percentage of us who are, like, safe enough and potentially have a partner with a good enough job that we're making livable amounts of income, but that's not the same as lots of money. I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure that from my shop, I have a shop, by the way, I probably earned 3 figures last year. That's not including the decimal 0.00 at the end. But still, 3 figures last year, I would say. So, you know, and I do this a lot. But yeah, if other people think you're doing it to be trendy, that's their problem, says Kirsty. Yeah, absolutely. It just, like, I'm not going to stop doing whatever the hell I want to do, regardless of whether or not other people think it's cool, because I don't care, and I don't think that people think this is cool, therefore I'm going to do it, is a healthy motivation for creating stuff. I mean, sometimes it's necessary because you're doing commercial work and a client has asked you to do something that's on trend. which is just, that's work. That's just doing a job. Or someone commissions you to do something that happens to be trendy because they think it's cool. But if you do something that happens to be cool at the moment, just because you like it, that's fine. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Do what you want. But also don't. I think there's folly both in trying to be as marketable as possible as an artist, because I think that can be very quick a path to soul destroying if your heart isn't in it, but you're just doing it because you think it's going to sell well. That's going to harm you. That's Mr. Beast thinking. It's not good for your mental health if you're an actual human being. But likewise, going like entirely in the other direction, being like, okay, I'm going to make everything as unmarketable as possible. Also bad, kind of, potentially, if you're doing things that you're deliberately like closing things off to yourself because you're like, oh no, too many people like this, too many other people are doing this, therefore I cannot do it. You're limiting yourself in another way that I don't necessarily think is healthy. Yeah, Kirsty says keeping track of trends can be good business sense, but can be exhausting creatively. Absolutely. I mean, like, I don't know, for instance, like, you notice that, like, keychains are popular. Okay, cool. Make a keychain of something you like if you would find that fun. But yeah, trying to keep track on what are the trending hashtags this week. I have to bang out a piece of art in the next 72 hours to cash in on this trend before it's over. Like, I personally would not do that, and I personally would not recommend doing that. But by all means, like Kirsty says, if possums pop off and you have loads of possum art, chill it. Take that spotlight. Absolutely. If possums are having a moment and you have a butt ton of possum art, take that possum art, post that possum art, hashtag it possum, get some eyes on it, get some love, and maybe people will stick around and enjoy the other stuff that you do as well. That's cool. That's, like, who cares? I just thought that the somewhat misplaced cynicism inherent in that post and people's responses to it just made me really sad. It's kind of like a little while back I saw someone complaining about, and I get this as a thing, going to craft fairs and seeing like table after table after table of people who have made like 3D printed things, but they've all used the exact same models to print them. So it's effectively the exact same product from every table. That feels really repetitive and boring. And, you know, I get like, hey, this pattern was free, so it doesn't cost you a lot of money to create this thing. So I see the appeal, you know, from the perspective of like the craft fair person being like, hey, it's not going to cost me a lot of money to create this. But also it starts to look a little bit boring and uninspired. But popping off of that, there were lots of comments of being like, yeah, and I hate going to craft fairs and seeing soap over and over again. And I'm like, but what, you just mean soap as like a category of handmade thing? Like, that's weird. Also, that's legitimately, you can't 3D print soap as far as I'm aware. That's just someone hand making a thing and that you don't like. That doesn't mean it's bad. You can just choose not to buy handmade soap. Personally, I like handmade soap. I think it's fun, and I enjoy when the fragrances are nice. I'm using one right now, actually, that is like a sort of a piney, woodsy scented soap. I thought it would be nice for the winter, and it's green, and the green is like a gradient because they poured it by hand with like different shades of, like a gradient shade of green, and it's super pretty. Because soap is a popular product. Oh no, says Kirsty, exactly. I too hate going to a craft fair and seeing crafts. God forbid. God forbid you see any, like, you know, hand-knitted mittens. Oh no. Hate. What's that? Polymer clay earrings, you say? How derivative. Like, what do you want from these artists? What do you want? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's so stupid. It's just, anyways, I'm switching to a smaller brush because actually I think I need a little bit more control for the Hatto section of Craig's very scholarly wizard look. So I have swapped out for a tiddler brush. Anyways, but yeah, that's my rant about that. Make the art that you want to make, and just honestly don't worry about whether or not it's popular. If it happens to be on trend in the moment, like, and you have stuff to market and sell because that's the kind of thing that you like to do, then by all means, like, jump on that while you can. Why not? But also, don't do things just because they're popular, because you'll kill your soul. Is it gatekeeping? Is it jealousy? Why not both? Says Styles. Yeah, exactly. I only want to see MLMs at craft fairs, says Rex. No, or candles, says Kirsty. Ew! Oh man, I love candles. We're currently burning a candle that's shaped like a fish. My moderator / spouse bought it for himself, and I'm so sad to see the fish sort of whittling down, because it was very cute, but also candles are super cozy. Where's my Tupperware and Mary Kay, says Rex. Oh god. Yeah, absolutely. Kirsty says, I want to see weird stuff, in quotes. Great, will you buy it though? Yeah. That's a big old question. I actually haven't done tables at any like fairs or anything for years and years because I had some not awesome experiences with them in a previous iteration of my creative life, and it's quite expensive to do. You have to purchase enough stock to have available for the event, and you don't know how much, is gonna sell, so you might get way too little, it sells out real fast, and you've just got nothing to show for it for the rest of the day. Or you get way too much, you sell like one thing, and you don't make back the fees that you spent to actually go to the event. It's too much uncertainty, and I have like no budget for this, so yippee. I'd love to one day. I really would. I was invited to do a Comic-Con, I think not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that. But it was at really short notice, and I was like, I don't have like a setup to do a table. Like, I don't have all of the little like stands and things that you would need to show off your stuff. So I just decided to not, which was the right call. But I'd like to do it at some point. But I also have just the absolute fears that I'm not going to sell a single thing, and I will have wasted all my money and had a terrible time, because that's happened to me before and it sucked. Anyways, Rex says the only times a problem is when there's oversaturation of one thing or they are improperly spaced that it hurts the vendors. Yeah, absolutely. I went to a pop culture show, a massive one, probably 180 vendors. There were exactly 2 Lego minifigure resellers, and they were next to each other. Oh no. Oh no, that's unfortunate. But maybe they were friends. I would hope there would be some manner of camaraderie there, personally. But yeah, that's rough. But yes, it is tough, and I have seen that happen before, where like they've put 2 tables of very similar things next to each other, and sometimes almost the exact same thing or in like the same category, except one of them is priced like 2 quid less than the other one, and you're like, I don't want the other person to feel bad if I buy this one because it's 2 quid cheaper, but also, oh no, trying to choose based on vibes, and I end up panicking, not buying anything. We actually had a slightly disappointing, the last sort of markety type, this was a more sort of general like crafts and stuff market for the holidays that we have here in my local city center every year. We were really disappointed this year because there was this one vendor that we used to go to every single year that makes like jams and chutneys, and they weren't tabling at this market this year. They were at a couple of other markets in other parts of the country, but I didn't feel like it was worth paying the train fare to go all the way to Gloucester just to buy like 3 jars of onion chutney and 1 jar of cherry jam. You know what I mean? That feels a little bit much, but it's tough. Tabling is hard. I both miss it and don't, says Rex. Yeah, it is hard. And I think sometimes it's hard to predict what the event is going to be like and whether it's going to be a lucrative event for you. Also, sometimes, again, like folks have said in the chat with like putting 2 people selling very similar things next to each other. You can also just end up in a situation where, depending on how, like, people traffic is being directed, like, if a lot of people are coming in, let's say, okay, let's say this is a map of your craft fair, convention, artist alley, whatever it is. If most people are coming in through an entrance over here, they're gonna see this stuff first. So does that mean that they will, there's potential there, I suppose, for people maxing out their budget by the time they get here. If you're all the way back here, you might not be seen by as many people, and or, you know, like, people might have already spent their budget on stuff, so by the time they get to your table, they're like, oh, this is really cool, but I can't spend any more money because it's a really expensive event for me to come to, you know what I mean? So that puts you at a bit of a disadvantage. But I guess on the other hand, you might find yourself in a situation where you're at the very front and people don't want to come right to the first table and buy something, because they're like, what if I see something else cooler way down here and I've already blown my budget on this thing? I'd love to see stats on how much, like, table location impacts sales, but I feel like because there's so many other factors to consider, it's really difficult. But it definitely can make a difference depending on the event. Katie says, I feel like event organizers will group like with like, but then you get the only two sellers of a specific item that are right next to each other. Yeah, and that can be really, really awkward. Like again, let's say for instance we're at like a games type event. So there's two. I'm bringing this out because I got this as a Christmas gift. We have two sellers that sell tiny dice and dice bags, and they're right next to each other, and they're the same price, and they're very similar in terms of, you know, size and aesthetic. They're not the exact same, but they're pretty close, like, and they're right next to each other. That's so awkward. Is that just going to be a case of which table is the first? Did you come at them from the left or the right? You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, I don't feel like I've tabled in enough events to really be able to know, like, is it better to be right at the front or in the middle or near the back of the room, that kind of thing. I think there's probably a lot of, like, strategy and what have you, but then also there are other things to consider. Are there other things happening in the same space? I remember, I can't remember who it was. I think it was someone I know. Not like just a random YouTube video, but they did a convention and their table was such that it was basically right next to, or right, like, by the side of an event stage that they happened to have set up at one end of the room that they were using as, like, the vendor's hall. So what ended up happening is that anytime there was an event happening on that stage, there would be people standing directly in front of this artist's table, which meant that people who weren't there to see, you know, sort of like the interview or cosplay competition or whatever it is, didn't really have a chance to actually look at their table because there's loud stuff and a crowd happening in front of it. So they missed out on probably a lot of people seeing their work, because their table was placed in such a way that it ended up kind of being obscured by the people gathered to watch the panel that was happening at a nearby stage. Not awesome when sometimes these events are really expensive to attend. Oh no! So yeah, it feels like there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong, and that makes me nervous about the
Attention.
prospect of ever
Twitch
doing that.
user Sammy
Sammy
Kelch.
Ann!
Shoppers.
Hello! Welcome in! Hello! It is wonderful to see you, and welcome. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I hope you had a wonderful stream. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you. Kindred is here. Welcome in. Lugia, welcome in as well. And Sammy Ann, of course, welcome. Let me get a shout out for you in the chat. Y'all, if you're not familiar with the work of the lovely Sammy Ann art, gazillion out of 10 do recommend. If you like whimsy and nice times and a wonderful person to hang out with, you should go follow Sammy Ann. Anyways, Sammy Ann, how was your stream? What did you get up to today? It is lovely to see you, and welcome on in. Gazillion, says Sammy Ann. Wow, gazillion, no less than a gazillion. For anyone who's new here, hello, welcome in. My name's Twitch user Sammy Kelsh. I'm a variety streamer. Do cozy art streams on Mondays and most Thursdays, and I do cozy game streams on Friday mornings and every once in a while on a Thursday if I'm feeling extra crispy. I am aware of the fact that there's a Moomin game. There's a new Moomin game from the people who made the Snufkin game coming out, I believe, sometime this year. And we will be playing it on stream. Obviously, we will be playing it on stream. Anyways, today we are painting, this is Craig. He is a toad wizard, and we love him very much. He's a very good boy. Here he is in his beautiful blue woolen robes and matching hat and a very lovely, lovely cloak as well. And at some point I'm going to have to figure out what color his toadish flesh is, but anyways, Craig, you are turning out delightful, says Sammy. Oh, thank you very much. You can't see it because I haven't painted it in yet, but Craig is blushing. Positivity Dragon Valentine's you were working on. That sounds so stinking cute. As always, my friend, you know we are an art tax optional stream. If there's anything you want to share with the class, whether that's what you were working on today or a link to your socials or something you're really proud of, I'm very, very happy to do so if you want to whisper a link to me in the whispers. But we are also an art tax optional stream, so if you just want to dip and chill and whatever, that is also entirely fine. It's very much up to you. But that sounds really lovely. Also, yeah, if you like dragons, Sammy Ann is a good place to hang out because Sammy Ann does a lot of dragons and she paints them very, very well. Anywho, did some really cute ones for the holidays as well. There was was it a gingerbread one? I think there was a gingerbread one. It was really, really cute. Anyways, but yeah, this is Craig the Toad Wizard, and we were just talking about tabling at craft fairs and art things and that kind of thing, and how it can be really, really cool and good, and sometimes it can also be terrible. And that's why I don't do them currently, even though I feel like I probably should. They scare me. Anyways, gingerbread, yes, I remembered correctly. It was very, very cute. Yes, but more importantly also, today we learned that there is basically scientifically the differentiation of frogs and toads as a category is not actually, they're part of the same scientific order, but generally from a cosmetic perspective, things within said order that are smooth tend to be called frogs, and things that are bumpy tend to be called toads. That's kind of the difference between the two of them. And they're more alike than perhaps Craig thinks that he and Terry the Forg Mage are. Terry the Forg Mage, of course, is our long-running, beloved, froggy fellow, here on stream, whose adventures we've painted many a time. And, the lore is expanding because he has an interesting friend here, who is Craig the Toad Wizard. And I love him very much. I did genuinely very much take offense to the description from, I think it was the Woodland Trust, that described toads as being squat and dumpy. That feels so mean. I think that feels mean to me personally because I am also squat and dumpy. I am 5 feet tall. I'm a bit overweight. Though I'm not a fan of that term. But I am a little tubby, and I am only 5 feet tall, and so I feel like you could describe me as squat and dumpy, and I'm also wearing a sweatshirt that's 3 sizes too big right now, because that is what is comfortable to me to wear at home. But that being said, I think it's a very cool sweatshirt, because it has, like, a really neat, like, old Japanese painting of a tiger and a dragon. So, you know, like, Is this dumpy of me? I don't think so. I think this dragon is heckin' cool. Anyways, speaking of dragons, Dovesery does stuff. Hello, welcome in. Cozy sweatshirts forever. I wholeheartedly agree. Also, hello and welcome in. What was I gonna? When is Lunar New Year? Because I wanted to do some art for it, but you know, I don't consider my 17th of February. Okay, so I've got like a month to do some Lunar New Year art, because the year that we are coming into is the year of the horse, and specifically the fire horse, and I'm like, oh, I want to draw a little friend-shaped haunts that's got, like, you know, flames for a mane and tail. I think that would look so stinking cute. But, like, you know, still a very haunts of a horse, because I don't think I have it in me to draw a photorealistic horse. I don't think that would look good. But I can draw a silly little horse. I can draw like a dollar horse. I've done that before. If you're not familiar with the Dalahest from probably Scandinavian, like, design was really popular for a few years there. I was actually speaking with someone yesterday about the concept of hygge, the Danish the Danish word for a feeling of coziness, usually with some candles lit, and you're wearing a comfy jumper, and you've got a nice warm blanket, and you're drinking a nice hot cup of coffee, and you're surrounded by people you love. You know, that kind of vibe, the hygge, and then it just became something that, like, you know, AliExpress vendors would very cheaply, like, stamp on a pillowcase in Live, Laugh, Love font because it was trendy. Which feels soulless, unlike me, who just paints cozy things because that's the world I want to live in. That's the difference. This is coming from my heart. Anyways, and also just generally Danes being, you know, like, mystified and dismayed by people from other countries monetizing hygge, because hygge is just, like, it's just being cozy. You can't monetize that. It's a feeling. Anyways. Kindred says, Sammy, I like that picture idea regardless of the Lunar New Year. Oh, thank you. I forget if I introduced myself after the raid, but if I didn't, then whoops. But I think we have a little chat message. I think I've got a little message from Sammy Ann that I'm hoping is a whip. Tis! Hurrah! Okay. Let me pull up this whip, and then we will take a little look-see. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have a little look-see at this whip. Come on, there we go. Also, I've got the hiccups, and I do apologize for that. Ugh. Oh! Can I zoom this in? It's being very small. Okay, there we go. Yay! Cute, 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 cute. Good, good, good. There is a lot to share here, and I'm very excited to share with you. I will be using my newly acquired Walter Foster book, How to Draw Horses, to create something for the Lunar New Year. Ooh! That's exciting. I feel like horses are genuinely, like, a challenge creature to draw, because they are weird. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be really fun. And I cannot wait to see what you come up with, because if you're not familiar with the work of Sammy Ann, here's some of it. It's real stinky cute. As I said, Sammy Ann does a lot of dragon art, and oh, be a spark of joy. It's thanks for being a friend. I love it's so good. Because horses and hands are my nemesis. Nemesi? Whatever, says Sammy Ann. I agree. I am one of the intentions that I wanted to kind of set for this year is to do more work on, like, just practicing, like, life drawing and dynamic poses and that kind of thing. Because I think, and foreshortening especially, everyone hates foreshortening. But I feel like it's something that, you know, I would like to feel more practiced at and more comfortable with. Like, I've done it and it's fine, but I don't love it. So doing more of that, I think, will make it easier and less scary. Bestie has a nice wing to it. These are so cute. These are so sweet. Let's just come down a little bit so we can see the ones down here as well. I love your dragon art. I think your dragons are so darling and so charming and so precious. And I want to hug them all, assuming they are comfortable with being hugged. But also this very cozy looking draconic cup of tea. How cute is that? And Sammy Ann says, the tea painting, and it is a tea painting, which I love. Sammy Ann also paints with tea because she's cool. The tea painting of the teacup meta, I know, which I adore, it will be You Are My Cup of Tea. These are so cute. Thank you so much for sharing them with us. I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate you trusting me with your lovely people as well, once again. And if you're not following Sammy and you like whimsy and you like painting with tea and you like dragons and other very darling, very charming creatures, gazillion out of 10 do recommend. Also fellow Canadian, so, you know, fist bump. Anyways, Kakalakola says, for what it's worth, I used to have trouble with foreshortening, so I started with 3 shortening and slowly worked my way up. Oh my god, why didn't I think of that? You are so... That is galaxy brained, my friend. Oh my god. Oh, Sammy, it says we could pass on meeting Craig as they come into being. Oh, thank you so much. As I said, if I had painted it in by now, Craig would be blushing. But what I am going to do is paint in his... He's got a little book cover here. So I'm going to paint the cover to his book, and then I'll probably paint in this little... He's got a little brooch that is holding his... clasping his cloak together. So we should probably paint that in as well. And then I will try and approximate a base color for Craig's beautiful toady flesh. It may not be 100% accurate to a real life toad, but I'm going to try and get close. I want it to be sort of a slightly greenish brown. Not nearly as green as Terry, but there's there's a hint of green going on in there, so I'll probably be blending sort of these somewhere in this vicinity. This paint set, by the way, in case you are not familiar, I call it my Frog and Toad palette because I took all of the colors here and blended them with, in this case, raw umber, so like a nice sort of warm light brown. And the reason that I did that is that I feel like I like using this technique of taking a single mother color, as it's traditionally known, and mixing it into all of the paints you plan to use for a specific project. It just makes everything feel very cohesive as a color palette, but it's not as limited. If I do like a whole ass rainbow as this, it's not as limited as, say, doing like a 5 color palette or that kind of thing where you have like just 5 colors to work with, kind of, which can be an interesting exercise, but I want to do something that is a little bit more naturalistic than that, but also has like the colors are harmonious in a way that gives it a vibe, if that makes sense. Okay, anyways. Sammy says, I shall go get my much anticipated leftover sandwich. Ooh, yummy. A new sandwich made with leftovers. I gotcha. And leave the art friends here. I'll be back to Art Jam. Nice. Have a lovely lurk, and please enjoy your sandwich. Sounds delicious. I actually had leftovers for lunch as well today. I had leftover pad thai with tofu. And I do love tofu. It's so good. I'm having tofu for dinner tomorrow. Oh, heck, I'm having a lot of tofu this week. No complaints. Tofu is great. I do love tofu. I think I'm going to give this book a red book cover. Because why? Because I have some red paint, and also I think it will contrast enough against, I might blend a little bit of purple into the red so it's not quite so orangey. It's made it a little bit browner, but actually I think that will work for us okay. Tofu, short for tofunk. No, Dan, because A, that's not vegetarian, and B, I'm allergic to mushrooms. And that's disgusting. I do love tofu, though. Tofu is a good food. It's one of those things that I think some people are kind of afraid of. But I think the thing to be aware of about tofu, and actually this isn't, like, I will happily eat it effectively unseasoned, because I just think it's great. But, like, if you're not a fan of just the taste of, you know, unmitigated tofu, you probably might want to just season it, like, a lot. Like, I am quite a fan of, when it's like, when it's in like a scramble, I will use So this is really nice and flavorsome way of using it. Kind of like using a lot of the same vegetables that I would potentially use with like scrambled eggs, but with tofu. Crumble it up into like bits and fry it in a little olive oil with I use turmeric and chaat masala, a little bit of garlic granules. It has to be like the fine garlic granules, not fresh garlic. It hits different, and it's the flavor you want here. Unless all you have is fresh garlic, in which case, you know, like it's not going to be bad. It's going to be delicious still. And a little bit of gluten-free soy sauce. That is chef's kiss. Absolutely delicious. Bunch of vegetables in there as well, obviously. Usually like some pepper, some onions, some spinach if you want some spinach or other greens. Really, really good with that. Absolutely delicious. Very, very big fan. I am stir frying it tomorrow with some vegetables that we have, and also and then just seasoning it with some Japanese yakitori sauce, which is also a favorite in this house. Yakitori obviously intended for grilled chicken skewers, because yakitori means grilled chicken, but I am not a chicken consumer, so tofu it is, and it's very, very, very good. Anyways, I never got on with it. Got on better with corn stuff than I used to, though. Nice. I do like a corn situation as well. I made chili last week using a blend of black beans and corn mince, and oh, it was so good. It was so cozy. You know, plenty of smoked paprika, cumin, some dried herbs in there, garlic, a little bit of mild chili, but not a ton because neither of us have particularly good spice tolerance. I get heartburn, and my moderator / spouse's head just gets set on fire, and he doesn't enjoy that. But really rich and smoky and savory. And just had that with a tiny sprinkle of cheese on top of, in my case, a bed of rice, and in his case, a jacket potato, because he was really craving a jacket potato. And it was such a good meal. It was very high in fiber, which I think my tummy appreciated. But I mean, that being said, apparently, what was the statistic? Something like 90% of British adults don't get enough fiber in their diets. But here's my problem with that. Is that unless every like dinner I eat is a massive bowl of vegetarian chili with black beans and corn, I don't generally eat enough food in a day, even if every single thing that I eat is a good source of fiber. I'm still gonna struggle to get that, like, I think 25 grams of fiber you're supposed to get in a day, because I just don't always eat that much. Like, I just don't always, even if I have like a bowl of porridge for my lunch, and then like bean soup for dinner, and some fruit and vegetable snacks in between, and maybe a bit of whole grain, you know, like gluten-free toast, I'm still not hitting it. And sometimes, every once in a while, I want to include something in my diet that has no fiber in it at all. Like some fish. Which is also really good for you. But I'm like, oh no, now I'm not getting enough fiber in my diet. How? Anyways, so I throw some fiber powder into a drink. It disappears and you can't taste it. And like a teaspoon is like 3 grams of fiber, so whatever, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm doing my best. And if you start going down the route of like, am I getting enough percentage of this, that, and the other in a day? If you're me, it takes over your every waking thought. And I think that's less healthy than occasionally getting 20 grams of fiber instead of 25, personally. Spinach, short for spine ache. I mean, I do, like, my lower back has been killing me for the last week or so, you know. Black beans are great, says Dan. I agree. When I went to you went to Cuba. Nice. Every meal involved them, and it was top tier. They are so good. They are so good. Black beans, chickpeas, red lentils, probably my top 3 most beloved legumes in this house. Though I also have a very special place in my heart for poi lentils, but I don't eat them quite as often. But they are very, very good as well. Anyways, Kakalakola says, around these parts, protein is used to add consistency to processed meat products like hot dogs, nuggets, or burgers. I can always taste the soy protein. There are certain, like, soy proteiny things that I'm not as much of a fan of. I think there are better ones. Like, I remember, when I first stopped eating meat food, a lot of the, like, pretend burgers and stuff were pretty grim. I feel like they're a lot better now, but yeah. Oh dear. Anyways, Rex says, what if you wrap the fish in a shirt to add more fiber? I don't think shirts, unless you're a moth, I don't think that shirts are good for your digestion. I personally wouldn't do that, but I'm also not, you know, an accredited nutritionist. But yeah, Kakako says that I don't mind soy protein or tofu, just not snuck into actual meat products. I see. It's kind of like when you get, like, budget sausages, I think, and you certainly it's a thing here where, like, actually this is a problem for people who are gluten-free but do eat meat, is that you've got to look out for, like, especially the budget sausages are often comprised of a lot of water and rusk, which is usually made of wheat. So you're like, yay, pork sausages. And then you look and it's like 75% rusk. Oh, well, guess I'll die and or be on the loo for the rest of the day. Anyways, Dan says, I was vegetarian from 2000 to 2003. It was grim, much easier nowadays. Oh, we are very blessed these days. Veggie, you know, like veggie nuggies, veggie dino nuggies. If you want to subsist off of a diet of nuggies, you can do that quite easily as a vegetarian now, and I'm really happy about that because personally, as much as I love doing, like, you know, sort of international gourmet cuisine in my household quite a lot, I also sometimes really just want to have nuggies for dinner. Just a plate of veggie nuggies and some steamed peas. with a good quality dip. I like a honey dip personally. I'll put a little bit of hot sauce and honey and use that as a dippy. I also used to really like the sweet and sour sauce from McDonald's, but I don't really order from McDonald's anymore because I don't think it's good for you, and it's surprisingly expensive. And I don't feel like I'm justified in just ordering 12 pots of sweet and sour sauce and then getting it delivered on Just Eat. I think they'd look at me funny, and I can't handle the knowledge that I'm being judged for this, you know what I mean? Anyways, Kakalakola says, I have a friend who has celiac disease. They have to be on guard at all times, 100%. Thankfully, I'm very grateful that my, like, sensitivity to wheat is not quite as severe as that. But, oh boy, if I were to just, like, scarf down a standard bread roll, I would be struggling to breathe for, like, 2 days. And I don't enjoy that, so I don't do that anymore. It makes me feel very sad. That being said, there are some fairly adequate breads out there. There's one that I quite like, that is the closest I could find to my beloved Vogel's soy and linseed loaf, which used to be my toast bread of choice. The closest I could find is called Vitality bread. And it's really nice, but the loaves are so small and the slices are so little that I have to have 3 slices of toast instead of 2 slices of toast to make up a serving. And when it's £3 for a loaf, that gets expensive for toast. Not that I'm salty about it or anything. Anyways, we are about to coast into ads, and once the ad break is over, then I promise we will figure out the color, the base color of Craig the Toad Wizard's beautiful, beautiful, radiant toady flesh. But in the meantime, I'm gonna stick on the BRB screen so you don't miss anything, because I would feel sad if you did. And yeah, unfortunately, I can't choose not to have ads run, but I can choose to take a break while ads are running so you're not going to miss anything, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So stick around if you want to. I'll be right back. You're not going to miss anything, and enjoy the BRB song in the meantime. BRB, everybody. Hello, friends. I'm back. Hello, hello. Thank you for sticking around. It's nice to be back. Hi. I hope you had a good break. Whilst I was on break, I was talking about fiber earlier. I'm sorry to belabor the topic. I shan't stick around on it too long, but it reminds me of earlier today. I was just out of curiosity wanted to see how much fiber there was in a serving of lentils because I'm making lentil soup for dinner. And the bag of lentils that I got gives, the serving size is, I think it was like 80 grams, and it said there were around 5 grams of fiber in it. I mentally banked this, then forgot later on, was like, what was that number? And I went to the Waitrose listing for their supermarket own brand lentils, exact same lentils, 80 gram serving size, 7.5 grams of fiber. Now I ask you, friends, where the hell is there a difference of 2.5 grams when it's the same bean? What are you talking about? I think this is a testament to the fact that you should probably not worry about it too much and just eat what you want. Just don't worry too much, because apparently even the people manufacturing these crops don't know what's in them, because that's crazy. My moderator / spouse suggested that it's because Tesco adds like more sawdust or something. Like, I really hope that isn't true, because we're eating Tesco lentils tonight. Okay, sweetheart, I love you. You get more for your money at Waitrose, says Dan. Apparently you do. Apparently you do, especially if you want to stay regular. The math ain't mathin', says Katie. I know. What's going on? I don't know. I am confusion about that. It's very strange. But here we are. Sawdust. Oh, that reminds me. There was like a little sketch, a little like fake advert in a TV cartoon that I watched in the 90s that my grandma was a big fan of, actually, called Ren and Stimpy. It was an ad for a product called Powdered Toast, and it was like a shaker, like those shakers of like desiccated parm that you can get to like shake onto your spaghetti, except it was toast. He like shakes it onto a plate and suddenly magically a slice of toast appears. Hey, Sunshine.
Let's be honest, just give it a slightly smoky fillet around exactly those bacon bits.
Powdered toast man! Yes, Rex, you know it. Yay, someone understood my reference. But I just remember like a child biting into this piece of powdered toast, and he said in this exact voice with his mouth full of toast, so I apologize, "It tastes just like sawdust." And that has just stuck in my mind for the last 30 years. That is just embedded in there forever. Oh no, and I have just been reminded of it, so thank you for that. Anyways. The inside of my mind is a fascinating and terrifying place. That show, says Rex, that show was weird. That show was extremely weird. Do you remember that? There was a horse on that show. That was an interesting, if you're thinking about trying to work out horse designs for the Lunar New Year that is coming to pass in a few weeks' time, there was a horse on that show. But yeah, that was no kidding. That was one of my grandma's favorite TV shows, and I love that about her. She was a fun lady. She just thought it was real silly. I mostly remember the hot new toy, Log. Oh yeah, Log, which is literally it's just a log. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood, it's log, it's better than bad, it's good. That was the song for Log. It was very silly. Anyways, would I seek out that show today? Would it still be as good as I remember? I don't know, probably not. Because again, it was 30 years ago, so I was watching it when I was like 12 years old probably. And unsurprisingly, tastes change as time goes by. Though that being said, speaking of 30-year-old pieces of media, I am still very much enjoying my rewatch of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I just finished season 2. after rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which comes from the 90s and is, I think, my favorite Star Trek. How do I like this color? How do I like this color? I think this color will work for starters. I'm going to need to do some, like, layering and texture and that kind of thing, because, again, toads are bumpy. And therefore, I feel like there's gonna be more variation in the color of Craig the Toad Wizard than there typically is in Terry the Fork Mage. I'm just gonna look up an actual toad to get not toad in the hole, just a toad, which are varying shades of sort of gray and greenish brown and very cute. I think they're very cute, personally. But I may be biased in their favor because I'm painting one. He's a very good boy. Anyways, but yeah. Toad. Oh man, Toad the Wet Sprocket! There's a blast from the past. I remember Toad the Wet Sprocket. That was, if younger viewers may not remember, but older viewers may remember, there was a band in the 90s called Toad the Wet Sprocket. I made a playlist of like 90s bangers a little while ago for an inspirational playlist I needed, and I had a Toad the Wet Sprocket song on it, specifically the song Good Intentions. Am I right in thinking that a cast member of Friends was in the video for that? I feel like there was. That was very much a thing at the time. You know, you'd made it as a band if a cast member of Friends was in your music video. I think one of the cast members of Friends briefly dated the guy from, who was it? Counting Crows, maybe? Anyways, Kakalakola says I need to head out offline stuff. Have a good day. Thank you very much indeed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Oh, we just got a new follow as well. The name went by too fast for me, so I'm going to have to look. Gotwitch88, welcome on in. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and welcome. This tea is super spicy. Oh, Biddle boy. Anyways, yes, thank you for stopping by, Kakalakola, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. What's everybody up to this week? Do you have any exciting plans for the week, or are you just chilling? I don't think I have any particularly exciting plans, but I do have got a busy day planned for Wednesday. Not of my own volition, but just because there's places I need to go and people I need to see. So I'll be up to that on that day. And other than that, mostly just the usual, trying to work on projects, trying to get stuff done. Hoping to do a bit more artistic practice. Sledge, my moderator / spouse, has put a link to a YouTube video in the chat. I'm absolutely for sure not going to be able to show this on stream, but I'm just going to paste it in to see what the heck you just pasted into my Twitch chat. It's Yes, this is an animation from Deep Blue Ink, who is delightful, of David Attenborough complaining about toads, and it's very funny. Do recommend checking that out. It is a very humorous video. Yes. Anyways, I'm gonna try and load my brush up a little bit better for this bit. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. I would normally, for a larger area like Craig's face here, prefer using, I think, a bigger brush. But I started with the little brush, so I really ought to conclude with it as well. So here we are. Aw, Beans, he cute. I think this guy's gonna be just the darlingest. Anyways, I can confirm I now have a Toad the Wet Sprocket song stuck in my head. Do we think that Craig the Toad Wizard is a fan of the band Toad the Wet Sprocket? I feel like he feels like he has to be. Probably. Just work stuff this week, says Tals. Yeah. It's a pretty normal week this week, which is no bad thing. Got some more orders to send out probably the day after tomorrow. Because I do have a shop, by the way. This stream has been brought to you by me. I have a shop where you can buy examples of my work, such as in the form of art prints or pins or stickers, that kind of thing. And, you know, if you want to and you can afford it, I'd be super grateful. If you don't want to and you can't afford it, that's okay too. I'm just happy you're here. But it is there if that's something that interests you. Yeah, anyways, Craig has begun to be colored in. Look at him. Look at him in focus. Please focus. For the love of God, please focus. Okay, there we go. Anyways, I think he's coming. I think he's looking pretty cute. I think he's looking pretty stinking cute. Now, it's worth noting that I have noted that, like, I'm gonna be painting in his eyes. Cause okay. Here's just a content warning for the toad photo I'm about to show you. I had some example toad photos on my phone so that I can, you know, try and get into the ballpark with regard to sort of coloration and also skin texture and that kind of thing. But one of the photos that just popped up is, oh, buddy, do you maybe want to put that away? That's pretty intense, my fella. What the heck? I don't know what I expected, but it sure wasn't not that. So, yeah. Oh my. I'm sorry that I had to see that, so you had to see that, but I'm sorry you had to see that, because, wow. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna get some light color on Craig's eyes. And I'm just combining my orange and my brown to make a nice sort of toad's eye color, which is quite pretty, actually, I think. And I'm gonna leave it fairly light in color, so it's just kind of a wash of this sort of warm eye background color, as it were. I'm not sure if that's the right descriptor, but you know what I mean. Anyways, I'm looking forward to coming back to this on Thursday and continuing the good work that we've been doing here today. Or at least I think it's good work. I hope you think it's good work. Anywho, gonna pick a little bit of this back up, because again, I don't want it to be too, I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be too dark. Just enough. There we go. Okay. Yay. Yay. Craig is on his way. Aw, I love him. Oh no, he's too cute. You're probably not supposed to get cuteness aggression from your own artwork, but whatever. Sometimes I think my art is super cute, and I hope that you do too. I'm sorry I bumped the mic with my hand just then. It is like right at like hand height for me, and quite close to Anana, who is our pineappular friend who hangs out here on stream and holds my paintbrushes. This is Anana. He is a French-Canadian pineapple. And he's also the holder of my brushes. Oh no, he lost one of his pieces of foliage. Ah, shoot. Let's just get back on there for you there, Anana. Ah, merci beaucoup, he says. Anyways. I did do an official piece of fan art of it. I do have an Anana emote. Of course I do. Hold on, let me pop the Anana emote in chat, because I forgot it was there for a second. I'm sorry, Anana, je suis désolée. Oh, no. Oh, you see, l'Anana. Isn't he just the best? Anyways, but yeah, the full official, like, the official character art for Anana, he is, like, holding a paintbrush, and he's wearing his little dungarees, because he's wearing little dungarees, of course, because he's a paintbrush holder. He's a painter. It needs to be a little bit painterly, I feel. Okay, I want to add some, like, texture to some of the, like, wooden features of this, cottage scape, as it were. So I'm gonna pick up some black, and I'm gonna pick up some brown as well. This mahogany brown is very rich, and it's very warm, especially in combination with the ochre that is running through all of these. So I actually tempered it down with a bit of black for these shelves, because I thought that it was a little too warmed up. So I'm doing a combo of brown and black here for the wood grainy texture, and I don't want it to be too crazy dark, but I don't want it to be not visible either. Tails, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. Thank you very much indeed. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome. Okay. So I'm just gonna start with some those little sort of knots that you get in wood bits here and there. We'll add a couple of those in strategical locations, because why not? Because I think they're fun and cute. And then we'll add some, I think Tails wants me to hydrate, and you know what? I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm going to take a sip of this tea. Thank you so much for redeeming hydrate. I shall have a big ol' sip. Delicious. I try to, like, swallow my beverages far away from the mic so you don't hear all of my, like, drinking sounds. But I did have a big sip of my tea. This is I think I mentioned it at the top of stream, but this is fire and iced tea. I'm making my way through my tea advent calendar, because my tea advent calendar, which I did drink throughout December, comes with 2 tea bags for each day. So I had like 1 cup of tea every day, and then I've got a bunch of leftovers. So I'm making my way through them, not based on, like, what day it is, but just based on vibes, because it's not Advent month anymore. And I decided to have this one today, which is, like, it's a pu'er tea, so it's, like, fermented black tea with, ginger and chili and mint added to it. So it's very much sort of, you know, cold weather, make you feel like you're gonna not get sick kind of tea. So it tastes healthy, but in a way that I don't find unpleasant. Because sometimes you eat or drink something and you're like, I can tell this is good for me, but I don't like it. But sometimes, you know, it's pretty good. Some Sort of Bee is now following. Welcome on in, Some Sort of Bee. Welcome. Thank you so much for the follow, and I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Welcome on in. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, sometimes you consume, like, a tea or something and you're like, I can tell this is good for me, and I don't enjoy that about it. And then sometimes you're like, I can tell this is good for me, but in a way that's delicious, so I don't mind. And this one I do find delicious, but it definitely has the this is good for you vibe to it. I think it's that combo of, like, the ginger is earthy, but spicy earthy, and then the pu'er tea is also earthy. So it's earthiness on earthiness, and then it's also very spicy, because it's got chili and peppercorns in it. It's kind of a weird combo, but also makes you feel like you're probably being relatively healthy consuming it combo, which I do enjoy. I like a healthy thing situation. I found that I joke about this with my moderator / spouse that since I hit, you know, what I think is probably considered middle-aged, I found myself more and more often complimenting, like, sweets and desserts by saying that they're not too sweet, and I'm like, oh god, I sound like my parents. How did this happen? Oh no. But I mean, it's like no, it's a compliment. It's a compliment when I enjoy a dessert. I'm like, it's not overly sweet. That's a good thing. I enjoy that about it. But also, it makes me sound really old. Oh no. Oh well. So with it goeth, am I right? Ugh. Like sands through the hourglass, so go the days of our lives. I remember that soap opera because back in like the, I don't know, 90s or something, there was a character on it who had the same name as me. And I'm pretty sure she probably did a lot of scheming and had babies and whatever they do on soap operas. And I was like, oh, that doesn't feel like a namesake. I don't scheme. I'm not having any babies. Oh no. Which is a weird thing that, you know, it's a notable thing to have happen because, you know, probably if you have an extremely common name where you are, you're probably just used to it, you know, like, hey, my name's John. You're probably used to encountering Johns in the wild quite a bit, but when your name is Sammy and it's spelled the way that mine is, it's unusual. So yeah. Anyways. Just popping in some nice grainy old wood planky texture into these shelves. And I'm hoping that will read well. I just want this, I want these shelves to read cozily, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do all the outlines on the books today, so that might be a task for next stream. But I can pop in a little bit more wood grain, I think. I want to do some wood grain on the outline of this window as well. You can't really see the pencils anymore, but there's going to be some like lead work in this window, which I think will look really, really cute. But for now, I do want to... I'm adding a little bit more brown back to this color that I've mixed up on my little ricotta lid palette. Listen, you know? Like, reduce, reuse, repurpose, resist. All of these things are good. And if I can repurpose something that I already have for another use that I'm going to use for a really, really long time, then hey, I've saved it from going to the recycling plant, and that's no bad thing. So I'm very happy to do it. Why should I get a purpose-built palette piece when the lid from a potto of soft cheese that I was buying anyways, probably to make a cheesecake or a lasagna, was already right there. I did make lasagna recently. It was really nice. I do like lasagna isn't something that I make very often. I probably like once a year at most, because it's even at its simplest, it ends up being labor intensive because you have to like cook stuff and then assemble it and then put it in the oven, and it involves like multiple different elements, like 2 different kinds of sauce / filling, you know, yada yada yada. Cheesecake, on the other hand, cheesecake can actually be quite simple. I'm back and I would like cheesecake, please, says Kirsty. Oh, you know what? You and me both. Unfortunately, the ricotta that this lid came with is long gone. But I'm quite a fan of the sort of like Nordic countries style cheesecake where it's oh god, I'm gonna say the thing again, it's not too sweet. And you have it with like some berries, and you serve it warm, and it's so good, and it's also really easy to make, which I also very much enjoy. But also, I made this ricotta cheesecake once that was like an Italian style ricotta cheesecake, and it was like lemony, and I think it had raisins in it, but obviously if you're not a raisin enjoyer, the raisins are optional, but I thought that they added something nice to it. And that was very, very good as well. Cheesecake. Cheesecake, my best friend. I think I made a ricotta cheesecake that used ground almonds in place of flour to help bind it together. That almond cheesecake? Yes. Yes, it's good. It's good. Ricotta, I hardly know her. Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much for making the joke that was on all of our minds. I do appreciate it. I do. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, I think I'm gonna finish the wood grains in this piece, and then I'll probably call it there for today, because I do have to go make an entire thing of dal from scratch. And that is not the most time intensive of meals, but it is going to take me, you know, like a good half an hour to get together, so I don't want to dilly-dally too long on that. Because we are going to want to be having some din-dins. Oh, these bits are so tiny. Even the tiny brush is a little bit big for them. Oh no. Oh no. But we soldier on and we try our best. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. I've just got these little Katie, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. And welcome. I am using an extremely light touch here because I don't want these lines to be too dark for the blonder wood of these shelves. I feel like these shelves are a fairly recent addition. Possibly they came from the fantasy version of IKEA. I don't know. And obviously if Craig the Toad Wizard went to the fantasy version of IKEA, he of course stopped in the cafe and got himself a little cinnamon bun and a cup of coffee. Because you don't go there and not enjoy the little cafe. Everything is so cheap and it's really nice. And as happened to me one time, if you're there alone and you look like you have no money and it's really quiet, the person on the till at the cafe will just, without asking whether or not you want it, just give you the, like, employee discount. That happened to me one time. It was really nice. I mean, it made my already cheap cinnamon bun just that little bit cheaper, but I did appreciate that. Anyways. Ugh. This tea is less delicious when it's stone cold, I have to say. It develops something of the flavor of, like, you know the flavor of, like, chewing gum when you've chewed through it and it no longer has any discernible flavor to it because, like, the whatever flavoring has been chewed out of it and all that's left is, like, the gum base. It tastes like that, but spicy. It's a strange experience. I would say get this tea if you like something with a bit of, like, a fiery kick to it, or something that's a bit earthy, but also drink it hot. And if you like your tea a little bit sweet, I would sweeten it. That's my recommendation, because I'm drinking it unsweetened and stone cold right now, and I'm not sure. Stone cold, the Texas rattlesnake, says Dan. Also, I don't know. I was gonna make some kind of snake joke, and I think my brain is melting. So I think I'm gonna call it there for today. It doesn't look like we got a lot done, but I feel like some important developments were made today in this piece, and I think we've got a clear direction on where we want to go with the rest of it for next time. So I think I'm gonna call it a stream there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been super, super fun. I've had a great time. Thank you for everyone who raided, for everyone who stuck around after the raids, and to everyone who's just been here for whatever reason. Thank you. You're cool. I'm going to see if I can find someone for us to raid. Perhaps someone who I've not said hello to in a little while. Let me take a little look-see. When's the last time I raided this person? I feel like it's been long enough, but I just want to I don't want to bother someone by rating them a lot, like too much, but I think we're safe. I think we're safe to do it. And they're nice. Ooh, yes. Yes, I'm right. This is exactly where we're going. We're gonna go say hi to Band. Who's very cool. Who's working on something very, very cool. Does a lot of, like, meticulously, like, pen shading-y kind of black and white, like, ink pen stuff that's really, really cool. I think you'll enjoy it a lot. I will get a generic raid message in the chat. If you want to join along with the raid and you want a message to convey, you can do that. We'll get some ananas popping in to say hello, because why not? If you do have the emotes, feel free to grab the raid message with the emotes. If you don't have the emotes, you can just say generic raid message and append any cool emotes that you do have. It's all good. And if you just want to dip, by all means, you can just go dip. I'm going to take a picture of this artwork right now because I think it looks really cute. And because I can. Anyways, but thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I've had a really, really nice time. I shall see you again, hopefully very, very soon. But regardless, I hope you have a good rest of your week. I'll be back on Thursday, continuing on with this little number. And yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your week. Good night, and good luck.